The chair recognizes the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Wolf, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, over the last 2 weeks, I raised a series of questions focusing on the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, as well as Washington's response or lack thereof. To date, little is known why Ambassador Stevens was at the U.S. consulate in the days leading up to the anniversary of 9/11. Even less known is about where the other American facility in Benghazi, the CIA annex. What was the annex? When was it established? How many people worked at the annex? Of these, how many were direct agency employees and how many were contractors? What was the ratio of CIA staff to security contractors? Why was their facility operated by the CIA in Benghazi? Perhaps it was established to assist in U.S. efforts to secure weapons in the wake of the Libyan revolution. As early as 2011, National Journal reported that, quote, the U.S. is also planning to ramp up spending to help Libya's interim government secure and destroy the shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles and weapons looted from Gaddafi stockpiles. A senior State Department official said Clinton will tell Libyan leaders that the U.S. contribution to these efforts will go up to $40 million, end of quote. The same article noted that, quote, the U.S. has already spent nearly $6 million on its conventional weapons disposal efforts, sending a quick weapons experts to Libya by October of 2011, end of quote. If indeed the facility in Benghazi was involved in the collection of these weapons, where are they? The $40 million promised by Secretary Clinton would buy a very large quantity of weapons. Were they shipped out of Benghazi? Are they in warehouses on U.S. soil? Are they in other allied countries, or did they end up elsewhere? There has been speculation that some of these weapons may have ended up in Syria. It's particularly noteworthy that during the same time period that the U.S. engaged in collecting weapons in Libya, respected national security reporter Mark Rosenbaum wrote on August 1, 2012, quote, that President Barack Obama has signed a secret order authorizing U.S. support for rebels seeking to depose Syrian President Bashar Assad and his government. U.S. sources familiar with the matter said Obama's order, approved earlier this year and known as an intelligence finding, broadly permits the CIA and other U.S. agencies to provide support that could help the rebels oust Assad, end of quote. The article continues. The White House is now apparently stopping short of giving the rebels lethal weapons, even as some U.S. allies do just that. And precisely when Obama signed the secret intelligence authorization, an action not previously reported could not be determined, end of quote. However, Rosenbaum also reported this important information. He said a U.S. government source acknowledged that on the provisions of the presidential finding, the United States was collaborating with a secret command center operated by Turkey and its allies, and NBC said the shoulder-fired missiles, also known as manpads, have been delivered to the rebels via Turkey. Is it possible that the president's intelligence finding included an authorization for the weapons collected in Libya to be transferred to Syrian rebels? Was the CIA annex being used to facilitate these transfers? If so, how did the weapons physically move from Libya to Syria? By plane, by ship? And again, I asked if these weapons were not being transferred to other countries like Syria, where exactly did they end up? Was the CIA annex being used as a logistics center to track and transfer these weapons? Was Ambassador Stevens' visit to the CIA annex on September 10 associated with these operations? And if these activities were taking place, was this consistent with the President's intelligence finding? Was the Congress notified? Mr. Speaker, I raise these questions knowing that CIA operations anywhere are sensitive and there is an appropriate time and place for the discussions. However, I don't think the American people will ever learn the truth about what happened that night and why, including the questionable U.S. response, unless they understand what exactly was taking place at the annex. That is why I continue to believe that a House Select Committee is the most appropriate path forward to investigate this and many other unanswered questions about Benghazi. And yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Schiff, for 5 minutes.